thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John East, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. Its daily update on Bama sports and is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947, and the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Visit online at ConecuhSausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama tight end Josh Cuevas. How have you seen this football team really grow since the time you got here to where we are now, nearing the midway point of the season?
Yeah, so me comparing it to last year, I kind of like with the offense and stuff like that, kind of going into like this new team, I really wanted to like put myself into the kind of get my foot in the door a little bit with introducing myself to the team and kind of getting comfortable with everybody. And that was pretty much the easiest part. And once I got that going, you could really see like the team and how the dynamic works within the team and how we're going to play football together. And as soon as spring ball started and then we went to fall camp, it was just great seeing like the team dynamic grow.
I'll have more in a moment.
Favorite jeans, favorite shirt. Got Conecuh sausage and I'm firing it up. Yeah, everybody knows that's how I get my grill on. You can smell that flavor up and down the road. It's a little taste of heaven. Everybody knows that's how I get my grill on. Conecuh sausage. It's just a little taste of heaven.
Join us tonight for Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show, live at 6 p.m. Central from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Hey Coach is available to listen to across the radio network, the Varsity Network app, as well as the video stream on RolledTide.com and Alabama Athletics social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Well, a good Wednesday morning to you. Scott is out. Steve is in. My name is Steve Moulton. He's Drew DeArmond. We are currently under a frost advisory until 8 a.m.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I had to wear pants this morning.
you had to wear pants.
Well, I wore pants yesterday too. I was going to an event.
Hope so.
But
you wore pants today.
Yeah,
we appreciate that, Drew.
I know that you can't see my lower half on camera, but I woke up this morning, it was 37 degrees. So I thought, And then I had a little frost on the old windshield, so I was like, I better wear pants. You know, I didn't wear sleeves, and neither did you.
Well, here in the upper basement, it is always a
little
warmer.
Well, and we appreciate that during this time of year.
Oh yeah. It's like we have radio equipment or something.
I don't know. Yeah, and all these lights, floodlights.
These are the Scott Tyson specials right here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't plug this.
Oh, yeah, Steve. I don't see the sweat on your brow. There we go.
For those of you that want to see my 3 hairs that I have on the back of my head,
That's okay.
I do know that this show always starts Wednesdays with Grady the Greek, and I know he's waiting on the bus right now.
Yes.
So Grady the Greek is kind enough to join us. How are you, Grady?
Hey, Grady.
Good. How about y'all?
Good. And hey, Grady. By the way, I got to give you props. You got it right last week. You had Alabama winning under the number. And I believe you picked Milrose, so he did throw the late touchdown pass. So good job out of you, sir.
Wow, nice.
Okay, so last week is over.
Yeah.
And it's Tennessee week.
Right.
And you all know that they're low down, they dirty, and they some sneakers.
Oh, yeah.
But for Bama to win, the offensive line is going to have their best game of the season, and the defense is going to have to be ready to hit.
They are. I agree with this 100%.
So I'm going to say Alabama 28 and Tennessee 24.
28-24. So you I have it's in the same wavelength. It's a little bit more high scoring, and you may end up being right because I have been a little bit surprised at the over-under. The over-under is a little bit about around where I have it. I got it at 34-27 Alabama, but so you got 28-24. So who's your MVP for the game?
I mean, I feel it's got to be Milroe.
So you still think it's going to be – I thought you were going to say maybe the offensive line, but so you feel like it's going to be Jalen Milroe individually. And then as far as what is some of your other a couple keys to the game in your mind? I know you said they got to play physical on defense. They're going to have to Milroe's going to have to play well, but what's another couple things that's got to happen for Alabama to win on the road?
Stop the deep passes and stop the run.
Gotcha. Stop the deep passes, stop the run. Yeah, they've got. I completely agree on the run because Dylan Sampson, he's the real deal. They've got to find a way. The run defense has to improve, and they've got to be, assignment sound 100%.
Grady, you got any tests today? Any big projects coming up in school for you?
I don't think so.
And so, last week, did football wrap up?
Yes, sir, it did.
How'd you guys do?
Well, we ended on a win.
Nice. So did you? What side of the ball did you get to play?
Offense.
Oh, cool. So now for you, what's the next sport up?
Baseball.
Baseball. So you're back in baseball mode, along with your father, Hunter Royer. So they're in fall ball. So they're well underway. So are you going to go to the game, Grady?
Maybe.
Maybe. More power to you, brother. I just now, Steve, are you going?
I did get a credential.
Yeah.
From the University of Tennessee.
Right.
So
yeah,
I'll be heading up to Rocky Top.
Maybe Grady, you can ride with Moulton.
I'd be fine with that. Well, have a good day at school. Thank you, Grady.
And hey, Grady, before we go, we always give you a shout out. Who you give a shout out to?
Who you getting a shout out?
Shout out to my mom.
Nice. And we appreciate her for letting you join us each and every week.
Yes,
sir.
Nothing sucks like a big orange.
You're correct there, sir.
Thank you, Grady. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, here you go. Cheers to Grady.
Yep. Cheers. Everybody hates the vomits here. Appreciate Grady for calling in each Wednesday. 28-24, Milroe MVP. So
coming up on the program today, Richard Hendricks is going to join us at the top of the next hour. Plus, we'll hear from Josh Pate here on the program as well. He's probably, you know what? As much as he travels around, he's got a pretty good football team in his own backyard where he resides. I'm wondering why he doesn't follow the Vanderbilt Commodores a little bit.
Well, we can ask him that, but he's going to be in Knoxville for Alabama, Tennessee.
Oh, is he? I thought he'd go to Austin.
No, he's not going to Austin. He will be in Knoxville for Alabama, Tennessee, and if I would think that if Texas can hold serve, or even if they don't, even if they lose to your Dogs,
yep.
And Vanderbilt beats Ball State, we can ask him: is the Pate State material?
Texas, Texas.
He'll be in his backyard. He just walk across the street and
seriously
go to Nashville for what would be a top 25 matchup with Vanderbilt and Texas.
Can you imagine?
Well, I'll say this: nobody will shut me up if Vandy beats Texas. Sorry, this ain't the Big 12.
Your phone calls are welcome here on a Wednesday morning. 256-576-4977, the telephone number. And we've got quite a few on hold right now, so let's get to it. Mark from Spring Hill is up next. Good morning, Mark.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Looking forward to Leonard's Loser later in the week. He had a bye week last week. I'll say this, Steve. You're going to like Leonard's Loser. So we'll wait till Friday on that one. But, Kirby can't afford a second loss. So his back will be against the wall. And so without saying too much more, I like the Dogs. Let's just say that. What I was going to ask you guys, and it's not getting a lot of talk on this show, I think, because we're so heavy Alabama, which I love. But Auburn is secretly, and they will be 2-5 after Saturday. You
sure about that?
That's a guarantee.
That's a guarantee.
Get this: they're going to go to Missouri, a team that's 5-1 and undefeated at home, and has got superior talent to Auburn, and has a quarterback who was.
I think at roster for roster, I'd give a slight edge to Missouri, but not a just unbelievable edge to Missouri.
Well, how about this? Is compare the quarterback, whichever one you want to take at Auburn against the Missouri quarterback.
Who is the Missouri quarterback?
Gosh, I was thinking it's not Brady. But,
you're right, Brady Cook. You're right.
Okay,
you're right.
Okay.
I was just wanting to give you a test early on Wednesday morning.
Well, they're going to mop the floor on early Saturday. And Missouri, even although they've lost one, and the bigger issue is not Missouri, it's Auburn. What's happened to this program? They're 2-5. They're 0-4 in the conference. That sounds like Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is performing like I thought Auburn would. Your thoughts on that? I mean, I don't care about Auburn, but they are in the cellar. Or will be.
I'm with you. I had higher expectations for this Auburn football team.
I had them as an 8 or 9 win team.
I really did. And
8, they're going to have to go on a huge run here. They're going to have to run the table. And I do think, that it's going to be a good game in Mizzou. I don't expect Auburn to get blown out. I mean, the interesting thing is the number's been going down this week. There's been a lot of money coming in on Auburn, but and Mizzou played so poorly in the conference the last time out. They got ambushed at Texas A&M. I do think it's to their advantage that it's at home. The game is, but I guess it comes down to this. Lately, Thorne has played better, and he hasn't turned it over as much. Now he had the disastrous turnover against Oklahoma, the one. But I'm going to be interested to see how Brady Cook plays because he's actually been a little up and down himself.
He has.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a close one though. I'd probably take Missouri like 27-24 or something like that. But I think it's going to be a good game.
Well, let me ask you this, and I'll go on this. Once Auburn loses Saturday, then they'll play at Kentucky. That's another loss. So and then you got Vanderbilt at home. Then they'll be LA Monroe the next week, and then they got A&M a loss, Alabama I hope a loss. You never know in that game. You're looking at a 4 and what is that? 7,
4 and 8.
When's the last time they've been to a bowl game?
This would be
last year.
I mean,
they did go with okay.
You don't remember the Maryland fiasco in the Music City Bowl?
In 2 of those 3 years they've had losing seasons. They went to bowls.
Yeah.
They just lost the bowl.
I mean, it was an awful ending to the season last year for Hugh Freeze's first season.
Yeah,
I got capped off with that bowl game, and then all of a sudden,
against Maryland's backup quarterback, because half of Maryland's roster had opted out. So
that's right. Yeah,
everybody had opted out.
Thank you guys for letting me stay a little longer with you this morning. I don't disrespect Auburn. I don't like them, but I don't like Tennessee. Tennessee, I don't like. I just like them more. And by the way, Coach Bryant disliked Tennessee more. I don't know if people remember that. So anyway, take care. Thank
you, Mark. Robert is next up on a Wednesday morning. Good morning, Robert.
Morning, Robert.
Hey, guys. On a chilly morning.
Yes. Yep.
But, I was hoping to get in yesterday with Eric Curry.
Yeah.
And
it was good.
He comes back, if you ever have him back or whatever.
Yeah.
I think a cool question would be, this is what made me think about it, is I was at school at Florida State down in 92.
Nice,
and
nice.
Actually, I went to the Sugar Bowl and rooted for Alabama as I hated Miami so bad. But that year was, of course, and what made me think about it is what he said, and I've never known this, that he was childhood Pop Warner.
That's right.
Middle school, high school with Charlie Ward.
Same high school, same area. Yep.
Yeah, and he brought up David Palmer being so elusive and quick, and just you couldn't stop. He said it was like Charlie Ward.
Mm-hmm.
And what made me think was if Alabama, and I'd love you guys' thoughts on this. And of course, we're going back, so it's all hypothetical. But if we had the current system, FSU finished second.
They did. They did. Yeah.
Lost the wide right field goal to Miami, which knocked them out.
Mm-hmm.
But Gino Torretta, their defense with those two, with Copeland and Curry, they just crushed them because they had more pressure on Torretta than he's ever had in his life, and he was a sitting duck back there. But if they played Florida State, Ward had a whole lot more elusiveness to maybe jump out from that initial blitz, that initial rush. They had a good offensive line or whatever, and of course, they always had weapons, that they could go deep and whatever the case may be. But man, in today's environment where you had, even right after that, you had 4 teams that played for it, and then now, of course, a lot more than that. We had 13. But what would you guys thought have been? And I don't know if you remember very closely about that Florida State team, but they did, that Miami game was their only loss. And they beat at Georgia, they beat Florida, they beat at Clemson. They had some solid wins. They only dropped the Miami game. Of course, Charlie Ward came back and won the national championship the next year. But anyway, just your thoughts on that. And I thought that would have just been maybe one of the best games of all time, I think.
Right. Charlie Ward was a hell of a player. And matter of fact, I when I picked the top 25 and can't remember what class I was in at Huntsville High that year, but I wrote down the entire top 25 and I only got 2 right. And it was Alabama number 1, Florida State number 2. And that was in the preseason because I felt like that was how it was going to go. Except I thought Alabama and Florida State would play. I thought Florida State would beat Miami, but they just had those kicking issues for a few years before they got Scott Bentley. But they were a great team. Charlie Ward would have been a hell of a challenge. And in those days, one loss could knock you out. And it certainly Coach Bowden until they – and matter of fact, the next year, it's kind of funny. It was kind of like Alabama in 2012. Florida State lost that heartbreaker to Notre Dame, but then as luck would have it, and it was delicious. They lost to Tom Coughlin and Boston College at home the next week, and which opened the door for Florida State to get to the national championship game and win it. So, yeah, man, Charlie was a hell of a player, hell of an athlete overall. Yeah, I mean, it would have been a great challenge. But I will say, I do think that's still the best Alabama defense I've ever seen. I mean, it's you got to understand how many pros they had even in the back end and the secondary, and like we were talking with Eric Curry yesterday, how many guys that coached the game that were on that defense. They were very, very intelligent, and it would have been a great challenge to.
Well, in terms of pros in a single college football game, does anything touch Bama LSU?
No, not in 2011.
Yeah,
I mean, but look. I mean, and then like I said, there was a few guys, on that '92 team defensively that didn't play in the NFL, but still such a great defense overall.
Robert, we are right up against a break. You got anything
Appreciate
else
it,
for
Robert,
us?
Man.
Thank you, Robert. Brandon, hang out with us. It is early here. Well, it's earlier here in the Central Time Zone for Brandon. It's 8:16, but you're good. Yeah, if you just turned on the car and I said it's 8:16, it's not. It's 7:16 Central. Okay, so nobody panic and stay out there. Stay safe out there on the roads. It's a chilly way to start a Wednesday morning. It is Talkin Ball, and we will be back.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We are working with a couple of wrecks this morning. Pulaski Pike and Sparkman and Research Park and Plummer. Both of those reported as no injury accidents, so they should move out of the way quickly. Everything else looks good. Traffic level heavy already on most of those inbound routes. Have you tried numerous weight loss plans and nothing seems to work? Your hormones could be the problem. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? My phone rings in my office.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
Your representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tom Luganville here from my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Here in North Alabama, barbecue is a part of what makes our home so special, and great barbecue from Lawler's makes it just that much better. Since 1978, Lawler's has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast.
Catch the Tide every Saturday. Hi, this is Chris Stewart of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Listen to Alabama football on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
I'm sorry. I just really wasn't expecting that coming out of the break. You know what? Just because I'm used to the non-edited. By the way, thank you so much for playing the edited version there, Bailey. Anyway, and there's no shovel needed. 2-5. For those of you that listened to the drive last night, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I didn't hear it. I saw the GIF about the shovel, but and then like our next caller said, "What did I miss?"
Well, so here is Nate Oates a little bit yesterday. We'll talk some basketball coming up at the top of the hour.
Some of the freshmen have been maybe better than anticipated. You know, the first one kind of comes to mind is LeBaron Philon. He's been great, been really good on both sides of the ball. He's pushing our veteran guards, making them better every day in practice, and he's going to get, you know, minutes, some games, significant minutes. So he's been good. Darion Reed, when he's been healthy, he's been really good. His IQ's really high. You know, he's going to contribute. He's smart. He's athletic. He's got great size. Aiden Sherrell's been maybe better than what we thought. And then, you know, even some of the transfers that have come in, just like the leadership, you hope you get really good, high character guys, and you do enough research and you try to get those guys. But these guys have been better than even what we thought they were going to be. You know, Chris has been an unbelievable leader. Houston's been great, like really good leader. Cliff's an unbelievable guy too. And I think Holloway just wants to get back to playing really good basketball. He's been really good too. So just the kind of the character and leadership of the new guys, and some of the young guys are maybe better than what we thought they were going to be here early.
Even better than what we thought they were going to be. It's not as if Bama is like on the fringe of being a top 25 team. This is as high expectations for an Alabama basketball team as I can ever remember. And then I hear that from the basketball head coach, where it's just like, you know what? Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. I mean, that's basically what I'm hearing out of Nate Oates.
Well, the Chris he was referring to is Chris Youngblood, the American Athletic Conference Player of the Year from South Florida.
Yeah.
And he's out with a lower leg type ankle injury. He had some surgery. He won't be back until December. But, you know, since he's out, and now that it looks like Darion Reed is going to be healthy for the start of the season, wouldn't be surprised if Darion's in the starting lineup. But the amazing thing about everything he just said, if Youngblood were healthy, my prediction would be none of those guys would be starting. Jeez. And so, I mean,
cool to hear about LeBaron Philon.
Yeah.
Of course, an alum of the Huntsville City Classic.
And one of the all-timers. I know they didn't win the tournament.
I know.
He averaged 32 points per game. And to say that he's even better than they thought, I mean, LeBaron is a dog. Let's just say that he's a hell of a talent. And, you know, and I got a chance to ask Nate Oates about, you know, the injury situation. And he just said basically that, again, Youngblood would be out until probably sometime in December, around the time SEC play starts. Right now, Reitzel's a little banged up. He was there with Mark Sears, but he would not play against Wake Forest this coming Friday. And likely Aiden Sherrill would not either. Aiden Sherrill hopefully will be back for the UNC Asheville opener on November 4th, while they hope to get Reitzel back in the lineup on the 28th when they come to Huntsville to destroy the Memphis Tigers.
256-576-4977, the telephone number. Brandon joins us this morning. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Belated happy birthday to you.
Yeah, belated. Number 42, Jackie Robinson.
Nice.
Well, it's actually a little early. I was just over. It's Sunday, but I was going to try to check y'all out while I was there yesterday.
Why, hell, we've got the Bama recap on Sundays, but you know I know you might be listening, but you'll probably be celebrating. So we'll go ahead and wish you a happy birthday.
Cigar.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I didn't know if Moulton's inner mobster came out when I saw the picture with the shovel yesterday. I didn't know who might have gave a dirt nap to.
Well, see, that was waste management via Tom Abraham, probably.
Is that what you think? No, the actual story behind that tweet is the shovel pass.
Oh,
the shovel pass.
Alabama hadn't defended that well in 2 weeks.
The old shovel pass.
Yeah.
And so we got talking.
I prefer to remember 1989 Saran Stacy.
I bet you would.
Yeah.
But no, we were discussing with Jimmy Himes last night about the shovel pass.
Oh.
Do I have it here? I may have an edited version of this. You know what? You don't have to worry about the dump button here. Here is a little back and forth between Jimmy Himes and Wes Neighbors.
South Florida, we'd have 3 guys on the pitch or 3 guys on the quarterback, but there never was one for each. So
and Tennessee doesn't run many shovel passes. They'll run one here or there.
I guarantee, Jimmy, they'll be shoveling the shit out of it.
Who do you think you are, Pat McAfee?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
That wasn't me, everybody. That wasn't me. For once, it wasn't me.
There you go. There's your shovel update for Wednesday morning.
I love Jimmy Hines. Who are you, Pat McAfee? Oh my Lord.
Well, Tennessee doesn't run too many shovel passes.
Tennessee doesn't run many shovel passes.
Well, we know what Wes thinks about that.
Yeah.
Well, if Drew keeps looking at that menu, he's going to start shoveling something here in a minute. So,
well, that's your favorite place there, Brandon.
That would be our main sponsor for the Bama Recap. That is Lawler's Barbecue. By the way, the next zone deal launches on Halloween, the 31st.
Cool. And we had some stuff launch yesterday too. I know.
I believe maybe Carrabba's is up.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, we're talking about Carrabba's going up, and that was going to be a one that was probably going to be very popular. $50 worth for $25. I mean, that's pretty sharp right there.
Yeah. Not up as of this second, but
that's the next one up, I believe.
Metro Diner, Sea Salt, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos.
Well, you better hurry if you want some
Daddy's,
Metro. It usually sells out every time.
Flow Trampoline Park, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue is still up there, as is Gunner's Landing and Cherokee Ridge Golf Course. So
there you go.
Chance to grab some deals for you here this morning.
well, I wanted to talk to you and say something about this whole Jerry Jones mess that went on.
Yeah.
When the Falcons were pissing their pants on a regular basis back, 2013 through almost 17, and then a little thereafter.
Yeah.
I listened to some of Moulton's friends like Mike Bell and them in Atlanta, and they used to get murdered on Mondays. Like it was 4 hours of people just fire breathing through the phone, and they would go after these guys and say, "Y'all are soft. Y'all don't ask real questions because you're the flagship station of the Falcons, and y'all won't really go in on these guys." Well, these guys that were talking to Jerry Jones were just asking bland, pointed questions that weren't over the line, and he just lost his crap on them. And at what point does the NFL, the rest of the owners, tap him on the shoulder and say, "Could you knock it off a little bit? Could you stop acting so stupid?"
They've created a monster ever since he had that gold jacket. Not to say that his effects of the game does not warrant a gold jacket. But I am of the opinion that he is just that 100,000-pound gorilla that they're just like, please don't embarrass us today. Please don't embarrass us.
It's been like that since '96,
I know.
man.
I get that.
When he fired Jimmy.
But now that he is a Hall of Famer, he's uncontrollable. That there is no
early
way.
90s, I'm sorry, when he fired Jimmy.
Yeah, I that is the one guy when I heard this little rant that I did. I would love to have been in the room with Jimmy Johnson when he heard that. That's ranks right up there with anybody can coach this team.
Exactly.
Anybody can coach this team.
Coach this team.
Anybody can coach it. How's that working out for you, Jerry? How's that working out?
They've won
you?
one playoff game since then. I mean, I know that Switzer won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Switzer won the Super Bowl, but honestly,
since then they've won one playoff game ever. I mean, think about that for the Dallas Cowboys have won one
if
playoff
that is
game.
not just a huge lesson for all of us to learn, right? When you have something of greatness in front of you, just cherish it, just embrace it and cultivate it, water it.
Because I believe
you don't know how long it's going to last.
I think they could have won maybe 5 Super Bowls.
I believe so too.
Because they won one more, which means if Jimmy was still coaching though,
94.
Because Jimmy's biggest strength as a coach was actually almost as a general manager. He was so good at drafting players and getting younger guys in there. And we know about the Herschel Walker trade and everything and what that gave Dallas. But yeah, I think he could have won a couple more Super Bowls. They could have won like 5 Super Bowls.
Steelers run.
like 5 and 7 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've either won 1 or 2 playoff games since, and they haven't even come close. I don't even think they've been doing it. They haven't been to an NFC championship game.
No.
They have been the kings of mediocrity. I mean, since he basically
That's not your job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just think and I've always been bothered by he and his family being the general manager too. That's their right. They're the owners of the team, but just own the team. Like, be a great owner who wants to spend money, but don't.
Right, well, what? He was all in for this year.
No, but
that's all we kept hearing. He was all in.
He just wants all the credit, though. That's always been the problem.
Yeah.
He wants the credit, for the Dallas Cowboys winning, but guess what? They don't win. At least not to the degree of being a championship level organization.
Yeah. Brandon, you got anything else?
Go ahead, Brandon.
Well, I thought they got robbed on that Des Bryant no catch.
Oh yeah, that was bad. That was bad.
Yeah,
I thought so. Yeah, that was awful.
And that was the year they had a chance to go somewhere. And but to an extent, I know what Jim Irsay did, and I thought he ought to have to solve the team after what he did. I don't think what Jerry's done is as bad, but people have forgotten about Irsay because that was a one hit and it's gone, and he's not really been a problem since. But Jerry just continues to make a black eye for owners acting bad. And I wonder at what point the NFL, behind closed doors, is really going to rein him in. And
I don't see it happening.
y'all were talking about gorillas. Y'all were talking about gorillas in the room. My wife got mad at me for the gorilla video I tweeted yesterday, so I guess I can't talk about them. So roll tide.
Thank you, Brandon. The Cowboys will not lose this weekend. They will not lose this weekend
because they're on a bye.
They're on a bye.
Yeah,
they're on a bye.
They certainly looked awful against Detroit. I mean, that was like rock bottom. Lord. 47-9. Alabama guys making plays all over the field for Detroit. Yeesh. And that was, of course, at Dallas. A lot of people probably wanting a refund. A great place to watch a game. But
next up for the Cowboys is a Sunday night game at San Francisco.
They're going to get the hell beat
on
out of
Sunday, October the 27th.
Especially if McCaffrey's back. That's going to get ugly.
Right now, both teams are 3-3, but we'll see. But breaking down the Cowboys is clearly not my job. So let's go ahead and take our second time out. Phone lines continue to be open to you on a Wednesday morning. It's Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Plenty of sunshine this afternoon, though. Definitely going to be just a touch on the chilly end of the spectrum. Temperatures climbing into the upper 50s and lower 60s. We're dropping into the mid and upper 30s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Definitely going to need a jacket as you head out the door for work on Thursday. Plenty of sunshine Thursday afternoon. Temperatures climb into the mid and upper 60s. We're getting really close to 70 degrees, but it looks like many of us are going to fall just shy. We only drop into the mid and upper 40s as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. We maintain the sunshine through Friday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 70s, dropping into the mid and upper 40s through the overnight, early Saturday morning. The sunshine continues Saturday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Had a couple of no injury wrecks that should be about ready to clear. Pulaski Pike and Sparkman and Research Park and Plummer. And we got a report of a traffic signal problem at Drake and Ivy. HPD's checking that one. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead ran away and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Howdy, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. Whether you're planning a tailgate party at the game, cheering for your favorite teams at home, or at your local Baumhauers with your family and friends, we're here to make your football party legendary with our party-ready tray selections. From our always fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade Nana's chicken salad, and of course, our fresh, never frozen, award-winning buffalo-style chicken wings. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It is a Wednesday morning. Following us is the Morning Blitz with Joe, John, and Bailey. I appreciate Bailey burning both ends of the candle last night. He's going to do that tonight as well. Why, you may ask? Because after the Morning Blitz, you get 1 hour of Chuck, then 2 hours of Tom Abraham if he decides to show up today. Then this afternoon is the Paul Feinbaum program. Don't forget to drive home with the drive. It's only an hour program today because that leads into Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer show. And after that, Crawdaddy. Crawdaddy is tonight as well, as Undefeated Army is once again in the spotlight. And we'll cap you off tonight. And Crawdad will have you from 7:30 to 8:30. Just a mere, 11 hours. And anyway, I'm not going to do that math. It's too early to do it. Your predicted order of finish in the Southeastern Conference in terms of men's basketball. This is your predicted order of finish. Number 1, Alabama. Wait a second. Where's Kentucky? Number 2 is Auburn. Where's Kentucky? Number 3 is Tennessee. Oh, wait a second. This is men's basketball. The predicted order of finish. Certainly Kentucky is going to be 4. Oh, wait a second. It's Arkansas. Arkansas is 4. Certainly his former team is going to be right behind. No, wait a second. It's Texas A&M. Texas A&M is 5. So certainly it's going to be – no, it's Florida at 6. Well, I mean, surely to goodness. Kentucky – no. Texas is next. Kentucky is 8th. In the preseason poll.
Well, I just think that's more of how strong the league is.
Yeah.
Because, and you got to understand too, as Mark Pope pointed out, I mean, it's
a big roster change.
Well, no, and John Calipari did as well. Neither team really had a roster.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, after the coaching change, I mean, they both had to scramble and hit the transfer portal hard because
you and I are basketball guys.
Yeah.
But what is going on in college football has been going on in basketball forever.
Yeah.
I mean, forever.
I mean, well, there's just there's less guys. There's only a 13 maximum on a roster, and right now, John Calipari, even with Trevon Brazile coming back because he acted like he was going to go into the portal, he's only got 9. I mean, so he's got 9 scholarship players, and as he said, when he went to the first team meeting, there was none. I mean, he had no players because at the time Brazile was in the transfer portal and everybody else had left Arkansas. Everybody left Kentucky. And so a lot of those guys followed John Calipari, including some recruits, so it's just going to be very interesting because when you lose a coach now in basketball, same way at Vanderbilt, they basically had no roster. Now they've got probably, I think the stat that I read yesterday was they have the most experienced roster in the country when it comes to games played, just not at Vandy.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Byington just said, I think I just decided if I'm in year one, I'm not going with a bunch of freshmen and 18-year-olds. They had one more COVID year, so go after a bunch of older guys and try to win right away and see what you can do.
Bruce Pearl, does he pass the test as to knowing where Chaney Johnson played before he went to the Auburn Tigers?
Very proud in the Rocket City of the relationship that we've got with Auburn basketball. Denver Jones has had a great run, but we wanted to ask you about Chaney Johnson and how much he's improved. And I know he learned under Jalen Williams, one of your favorite players, but how much better can he be this year? And we hear he's 6'9" now.
Well, yeah, I don't know how tall he is, but I know for his size, he's a terrific athlete. Now, he plays the 4 spot, and I don't know if you guys want to do the research on this, but I think there are so many great 4-men or that position in our league. I think every night he's going to be going up against a great player at the 4 spot. And a reminder, a year ago, Chaney was playing Division II basketball at North Alabama. He came in last year, got his feet wet, absolutely looked like he belonged. Just need more of him. Just need a little bit more aggressiveness on both the offensive and defensive end. He's going to be a terrific contributor. I would look at Auburn being very similar to a year ago. Our greatest strength is going to be our depth. We're going to play 10 guys double-digit minutes, and when we go to our bench, we're not going to drop off. And who and what and when and how is going to be something that's going to be a work in progress throughout the season.
I mean, the time that Chaney had in Flowers Hall, I'll never forget. I will never forget all the times in which I saw Chaney play at Flowers Hall. It was truly magical.
Well, I didn't realize that Kellen DeBoer had hired Nate Oates as an analyst, but I guess he has. It's
not as if UAH played Auburn in a scrimmage or anything.
Oh, well.
Hey, listen, I know.
We could cold call John Shulman and ask him about it. Yeah.
No, he was at Alabama Huntsville. I'm wearing a UAH shirt today.
Well, it might get under his skin a little bit, but we could cold call John Shulman and ask him about it. And
he'd probably answer. He's an early riser.
Yeah, with his Diet Mountain Dew.
Oh, plenty of them. One other sound bite from yours truly to Buzz Williams.
Now, we did get this one right.
Thank you, Buzz.
Coach Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. I've followed you since you were at Marquette. I know you recruited my city at Huntsville, Alabama, at Butler High School, Lee High School. So you've recruited all over the country, but I know you value character a lot. How do you build your team with your high school class and the combination of what you're looking for in the transfer portal?
How far is Huntsville from here?
About an hour and a half.
Yeah, I love coming over there. I loved Lenny Acuff probably more than any of the players I went to see. And I never misused the monies of Marquette or Virginia Tech or Texas A&M for that matter. But sometimes when I would go recruiting, I would also make sure that I could see Coach Acuff and learn from him. I think he's one of the best coaches. For a long time, I think he's been one of the best coaches in the country. I don't know that I really know the answer It's something that we constantly talk about, the balance of transfers, the balance of young guys. To some degree, we've tried to balance it over the last 5 years relative to their character. Do they understand the vision that we have for them? Is it aligned with what is important to them? But it's a juggling act, and I don't think that there's an exact science. But at the highest level, I think the older you are, relative to your body, relative to your experience and talent, that is a competitive advantage. So you can't be too young, but sometimes you can't be too old when they haven't been with you throughout, because they may not understand some of the things that are important to you. So we've just tried to walk that fragile line as best as we can and be transparent with everybody involved. And so far, so good, but I also understand how delicate it all is.
That is Buzz Williams yesterday down at the tip-off press conferences down there in Birmingham.
Yeah, it was a great event as always. Appreciate Greg Sankey and the SEC for putting it on. And, I've always admired Buzz and what he's about, and very strong comments about Lenny Acuff, and also John Calipari, not mentioning Coach Acuff by name, but they are playing Lipscomb in the pre-conference.
High expectations for the Lipscomb Bison.
Yeah, I mean, I know Coach has been building it.
Yeah.
People understand that's what he is. He's a builder and a teacher, and it took him several years to get UAH where he wanted it, but then the consistency was very, very good.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Lipscomb administration is going to continue to have patience, and I think it's going to pay off. I think Coach is certainly going to continue to have that program climbing, and when you sign people like J.D. Gossett, that's what you do.
Most watched football game from over the weekend. Which one do you think it was? I'll tell you the answer on the other side. 256-576-4977, the telephone number. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck westbound. Sounds like it's going to be right on top of Chapman. That one's going to really back things up. Had a report of possible injury there, so that may take a little longer to clear. And we got a traffic signal problem at Drake and Ivy. They've called for signal engineers to come work on that one. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You could make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Carrabba's Italian Grill is the best place to enjoy authentic Italian cuisine, passed down from our founders' family recipes. Featuring a wood-burning grill, you can enjoy Carrabba's signature dishes, including chicken brine, wood-fired grilled steak and chops, and classic Italian pasta dishes. Have a special event? Elevate your catering with Carrabba's Catering, the perfect way to enjoy large party portions of your favorite hand-prepared dishes for any event. Carrabba's Italian Grill at Parkway Place, Huntsville.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888 8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Buckhorn Youth Sports was created in 2018 to provide kids in our community the ability to compete at every sport possible. We offer football, flag and tackle, cheer, volleyball, wrestling, basketball, baseball, and softball. You can find us on Facebook at Buckhorn Youth Sports, where we prepare the future. Buckhorn Youth Sports is a proud supporter of Buckhorn High School football. Go Bucks!
Buckhorn is playing tomorrow night, and don't look at the radio funny, or your YouTube or however you're.
So it's a Thursday nighter.
A Thursday night that has playoff implications. If Buckhorn wins over Mae Jemison, they're in the playoffs. If Mae Jemison wins, they're in the playoffs. So a big game tomorrow night. You'll hear it over the airwaves of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. So that leaves a spot open on Friday night here on the airwaves of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. The Westminster Christian Academy Wildcats will be on the air taking on North Jackson in what is a big Region 8 matchup. Josh Carey will have the play-by-play call.
Yeah, that's going to have some playoff implications because North Jackson dropped the game to Plainview after kind of controlling their own destiny 33-32.
Probably a angrier Chief team.
And then we know that Louis LeBlanc and the boys had a really good second half on the road at Madison County.
They were down to Madison Academy at half, or Madison County at halftime.
So that's going to be a game, with a lot of playoff implications and seeding potentially for the winner of that game.
Yes, indeed. All right. Your ratings from over the weekend are officially put up on the board. Number 8 on the list on Fox that drew 2.4 million viewers, Washington at Iowa. Yes, Iowa scored 40 points. Did they score 40 collectively all year long last year? I don't think so. Number 7 is Florida at Tennessee, drawing 3.2 million viewers. Number 6 is Colorado, the love affair that ESPN, that we all, I guess, have with Deion Sanders, drew 3.3 million in their loss to Kansas State. Number 5, Ole Miss at LSU on ABC drew 4.2 million viewers. Right above them at number 4 is Penn State at USC. That is the CBS game. That drew 4.3 million. Number 3, South Carolina at Alabama drew 6 million viewers. And remember, that was the big noon kickoff, or whatever you want to call it, there on ABC. Number 2, Oklahoma, Texas, 7.6 million viewers on ABC. And your top viewed game from over the weekend, Ohio State at Oregon on NBC at 10.4 million viewers.
That would have been my guess, just simply because it was a battle of unbeatens and another choke job by Ryan Day.
And how much money was that worth?
I don't know. Quinshawn Moneybags, how much per carry? He only got 11.
But anyway, that is.
I mean, Day's a good coach. I mean, but you call him elite? I don't think so. He's won Big Ten championships, but I mean, he's almost like Lincoln Sharman's older brother or something. I mean, every time he gets in the playoff, he gags. I mean, he did get to the national championship one time and got smoked by Alabama. But,
I did put up a poll on our Twitter account. I think this was 2 days ago at 977 ESPN.
Right.
And I am trying to scan to find it. There it is. Best coach in the SEC currently is, your choices were Sark, Kirby, Kalen, or Heupel. Sark. Sark won it with 52% of the vote. followed by Kalen DeBoer at 30% of the vote. Then Kirby, 17% of the vote. Josh Heupel did not receive a vote.
Hopefully he won't Saturday either.
Is Sark the best coach in the SEC?
I mean, that's very subjective. I would still say that, Kirby's near the top of the mountain or at the top because he has skins on the wall, SEC championships, national championships.
Yep.
Sark does not as a head coach, does as a coordinator. Kalen DeBoer has some Pac-12 championships, but not SEC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's appeared in the national championship game. But, right now Texas is number one, but we'll see if they truly are Saturday. Because, again, I'm not a big believer in who they've played in the SEC right now. They haven't really played anyone. And it's going to be ratcheted up 10 notches Saturday. Now, I understand that Georgia is without some people, and I saw where London's going to be out Saturday. That didn't encourage me. But, again, I think Kirby is, except when Alabama's on the other sideline, has done well in big games. And he really has. I mean, and so I think he's going to have his team ready. I think far and away the best quarterback that Texas would have faced, because I know their defense looks good right now, but they're playing tomato can left, tomato can right at quarterback. And they haven't played Alabama. So I even Ole Miss. Now they'll play Ole Miss later in the season, but I do think Jackson Dart's one of the most overrated guys in the country. I don't think he's elite. I'm sorry. But as a matter of fact, I wouldn't vote him first, second, or third team all conference. There's no way, based on what I've seen out of him in big games. I just think it's been gag central. So, but we'll see. So
on the subject of football, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There was a matchup last night, and no, I'm not going Troy and South Alabama.
You're not going to talk about my boy Gio?
There was a matchup last night. It was so bad.
Oh,
I could not tune away.
You couldn't tune away.
I couldn't tune away. It was Middle Tennessee State taking on. It was.
Hey, just call him Middle Tennessee. Jeff's going to get mad.
Well, he's not calling it. Taking on the Owls of Kennesaw State.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was so bad. There was back-to-back turnovers on two different occasions. It was so comically bad. Even the announcer messed up whether or not a field goal was good or not. It was no good, by the way. And I heard the announcer go, and it's good. Oh, wait a second. They're saying it's no good. 14-5 was the final score.
Who won?
Middle Tennessee State University, the Blue Raiders.
So
I really felt like texting Chip, the voice of the Blue Raiders, saying, "How bad was that?" Derek Mason, that team's got a long way to go.
Well, there's some Florida State people that want him as DC.
We'll head to hoops next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Major League Baseball National League Championship Series today. The Mets and Dodgers are tied at a game apiece. Game 3 in Queens, New York. The Mets will send Luis Severino to the mound. Walker Buehler gets the nod for Los Angeles. LA minus 105 on the money line. The Mets minus 115. Tomorrow, Yankees and Guardians game 3 in Cleveland. New York up 2-0. The Yankees minus 115. The Guardians minus 105. Thursday Night Football this week, the Denver Broncos favored by 2.5 on the road at New Orleans. Over-under 37.5. New Orleans plus 115. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Well, the frost advisory is officially in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Now from the National Weather Service.
Does that mean it's 50 degrees?
No.
Okay.
At least according to the National Weather Service, it's currently 39 degrees.
It's only 2 degrees. Oh.
Yeah. Here.
Glad I wore pants.
Well, we're all glad that you wore pants.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure the our first guest of the morning love to hear that. Let's talk some hoops.
Oh, he looked spiffy yesterday, man. He was wearing a suit. I certainly wasn't, but he was making the rounds, and he will be today as well at the Grand Bohemian Hotel in Mountain Brook, Alabama. It was SEC media tip-off for the men's side. He was, of course, taking everything in. He's going to be an SEC network analyst. He's also going to do work for the University of Alabama as he continues to broaden his broadcast career. He is a Limestone County Hall of Famer. He is a McDonald's All-American, a SEC legend at the University of Alabama. And, of course, we're talking to former Athens Golden Eagle and University of Alabama standout Richard Hendricks. Richard, welcome back. You're with Drew and Steve. How are you this morning?
Doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's chilly outside, which means it's almost time for basketball. You were there yesterday for all the festivities. I got there about 11 a.m. to take in Mark Pope and hear from Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates. What were your initial impressions of the day yesterday for the SEC?
Well, I enjoyed it. I was able to sit through the entire session and heard every coach and what they had to say. You know, many times on media day, it's typical coach talk, but you do get a few gems that you hear from a lot of the coaches about their expectations of the season. I was excited to hear some things from Nate Oates in his speech. He understands that he has a very, very talented team, and the emphasis for this year is going to be defense. So I expect to see Alabama ramp up their defensive intensity, see if they can shore up some of the deficiencies that they had last season, because with the firepower that they have on the offensive end, I think they feel like they have the offensive side taken care of and they can score with anybody, but it's going to be a matter of if you can stop someone. Auburn as well understands they have a really good team. They have what I believe is the best post player in the league, and Janai Broome returning. And Bruce Pearl knows that they have a really, really tough environment to play in down in the jungle at Neville Arena. So I think it's really, really good to see that the SEC is in a space where you have 9 teams now in the AP top 25, and Alabama holding it down at the number 2 overall slot in the preseason. It really shows the strength of where basketball is now in the Southeastern Conference.
Richard, I'm always intrigued as to how coaches they're always talking to their players. We always know about that, but how their message not only to the media but to their team as well, and the way Nate Oates. And at one point I played that little clip that I was like, oh wow, of mentioning how much better this team is than even what he thought. And I mean, can you pile up more on the? It feels like it's just intriguing to me how he's, stoking the fire a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Well, he definitely is. He understands he has a talented team. But when I look at this team, I have to look first at the schedule. They have a tough non-conference schedule. And then when you pair that with what they're going to have to deal with in the SEC, because this is an SEC season that I predict is going to come down to the last week, just like last year, because every single team from 1 through 10, all the way down, and even the teams that are predicted to be in the bottom half have all improved. the last 16 teams, and you don't know what to expect with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league. So this is not going to be easy, even though he has the talent. I think he's going to have his best Zen master, Phil Jackson type performance this year of how do you get people to buy in? How do you get people to be held accountable to make sure that they're productive in short amount of minutes when you have a roster that's 10 to 12 deep and everybody has these credentials coming in and wants to play. I think also within that, you have to look at the standpoint of you have 5 returning players who were a part of that Final Four team. And you have newcomers that come in, and we're in the NIL age, and they're highly coveted, and they want to have an expectation that they have achieved something that they weren't a part of last year. You have to be able to manage all of that moving into the season, that everyone thinks that they are entitled to doing the same thing that they did last year and beyond, because the talk is national championship, and that's what they want to do. But at the same time, you have to be able to handle how do you keep an edge, how do you keep a chip on your shoulder, and how do you understand how to take everybody's best punch? Because it's going to happen this year, and I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk like people may think just because the roster is packed with talent.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have a target on their back, no question about that. And I thought it was interesting when I talked to Latrell Reitzel yesterday that I asked him about Brian Adams, the new assistant, and he said he's kind of taking it up to the next level from an intensity standpoint and the way they practice and the drills that they do. Sounds like they've changed things up on the defensive end of the floor and the way they prepare big time, Richard.
Well, it's interesting now. I've been doing my preseason rounds, going around teams in the league and checking out practices. And basketball has changed from the times of past when you look at a coaching staff with maybe there's a head coach and then you have maybe 3 assistants and followed by maybe a couple of managers and you have 12 to 15 guys. You look at these staff sizes that have ballooned up to around 50 people on the court, and you'll have a situation, as you mentioned, with Brian Adams, who's a defensive coordinator, and the teams will circulate around in a stations in big court situations, working on certain aspects of the defense with the coach, and then you have a head coach who has a chance to oversee it. Almost like basketball takes a little bit of football in this nature right now, but you do see a high emphasis from the new assistant coach Adams and what he's able to implement defensively, and he has a lot of intensity. He has a lot of schemes that he's trying to implement. It's just going to be a matter of being able to have everybody who's coming into the game off of the bench to continue to buy into that high level of intensity and play for the overall team scheme that you're trying to achieve. But the emphasis is there. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in November and see about the execution.
Most intriguing team that just kind of fascinates you in terms of how high the ceiling can be, but maybe how low the floor can be. What team is that to you, Richard?
Well, I got my eye. I look at the Ole Miss Rebels. And the main reason is because when you look at this team, you have a head coach who's been to the national championship game. He's got things going last year with the scheduling, and they started off the season with the last undefeated team. I believe they were 13-1 going into conference play. Yeah. They were on the bubble up until the last few weeks into the regular season, but they've been able to shore some things up and trying to get the mentality back. They have a little bit of they have some returners coming back with Matthew Morrell, who was granted a 5th year. He's going to be slated as a preseason All-SEC pick. He went to the NBA Draft Combine for 2 years, and he showed as one of the most athletic players. He just has to show that he has the consistency to be more of a talented player to bring it every single night at 6'4", around 210 pounds, and can shoot the ball from deep and get to the rim. You also look at one of their leading scorers that's coming in, a big-time transfer, is Dre Davis, who they're bringing in. If anybody watched that NIT final, he played for Seton Hall, and what he was able to do to win that NIT, he was a dominant performer. They got a 6'9", 250-pound transfer from Belmont who started at Vanderbilt, Malik Dia. So when I look at this roster, and you have players returning, Jamin Bakefield, Jalen Murray, as I mentioned earlier with Matthew Morrell, they have some really good players. Sean Padula, who's transferring in from Virginia Tech, who's a really good floor general that can balance things. This is a team that I have picked as a little bit of a dark horse. I don't think they can win the SEC, but you'll be able to see that Chris Beard has this program going in the right direction, and that could be a team that's going to be hard to beat in the SEC play if they can get things going and he can get his culture instilled like he had at Texas Tech and Texas moving forward.
Well, and I always enjoy talking to Buzz Williams, and I didn't realize that I knew Boots Radford had finally run out of eligibility, and he was one of my favorite guys. Boots is just a fun guy to watch play. Now applying his trade professionally, but they've got 7 of their top 8 back, Richard, and they're a very difficult team to play as well because of the way Buzz decides to attack people, their physicality, and they've got Wade Taylor back.
Yeah, and you know, in Wade Taylor, I think one of the things about his game is he's a high-volume, high-usage guard. I think he played best when he and Boots Radford were good in concert with each other, and that took a lot of the ball handling responsibility off of him. But I think he's going to have more of a leadership role, particularly on the defensive end. I thought I saw a lot of defensive lapse in his game because he was focused on so much on the offense. I believe last season he was the preseason SEC Player of the Year prediction, and the team didn't necessarily perform to the ability that they would like. You pair that with, you know, as they say, like I believe they might call him the Dominican Rodman with Anderson Garcia,
Yeah.
what he's been able to do and his activity. You have that type of toughness up under the boards. You have Wade Taylor returning. Hopefully it's going to take a little bit more of a leadership role. I do agree with you. Texas A&M is going to be another difficult team to compete with in this league. But, I mean, listen, you can go all the way up and down. There's 16 teams in this league. There's not going to be an easy game at all in this league. Even Vanderbilt with Mark Byington in his first year coming in, he doesn't have a whole lot. He has a transfer coming in from Michigan State with A.J. Hogard, as well as bringing in one of his other players in from James Madison, which is Jalen Carey. But he has a system of up-tempo basketball, and they move the ball around. And once people end up buying into what he's doing, in February, Vanderbilt's going to be a tough team to be able to play against, and he'll be able to build his program. But all the way through this whole roster, 1 through 16 in the entire league, I don't see an easy team. Not one. And even you can't overlook South Carolina with the way that they play off the pass and the ball, and not the ball screen, but the off-ball action. I expect them to be competitive just like they were last year. They were 1 game out of winning the whole league. So it's going to be a good one, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great league, no question.
The Auburn Tigers, maybe their non-conference is not as challenging as Alabama's, but they do have one crossover there in Houston.
And they're playing at Duke, too, though.
Well, also that as well.
Yeah.
But Auburn does have some decent expectations on that. What were your impressions of what you heard out of Coach Pearl yesterday?
Well, it's always good to hear Bruce Pearl speak. If you ever go to SEC Media Days, he's always going to be one of the more entertaining coaches who gets up on the stage and shares his opinion. He's definitely excited about his team. I don't know if they have the name recognition firepower as other teams in the league, but they're going to go 9-10 deep, and they're going to play 10 players and rotate them in just like you saw last year. And when you have a roster of that sort, and when you start seeing when he can put his pressure defense in, when they start picking you apart with his flex offense, and as I mentioned, you can throw it in down the Janai Broom in the low post, this is going to be a team that can come at you in waves. And I expect to see more and more of that. And it's a big reason why everyone has them preseason predicted in the AP in the top 15 that Auburn's going to make a lot of noise. They have to have a chip on their shoulder after the expectations of last season to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, and were ousted in the first round against Yale. So this has to be something that the fan base, the head coach, and the team is definitely focused on trying to run it back for this upcoming season. So, I mean, as I mentioned, with the rest of the league, this is another dangerous team, and I think it's going to come down to the end, just like last year. We had, with 2 games left, 5 teams had an opportunity for a 5-way tie and for the SEC regular season crown. I wouldn't be surprised to see something else like that moving into the season this upcoming year.
Well,
I'm sorry. I got one quick question for you, Richard. Give me your 2 best big men, since you are a big man, Richard. Who are the 2 best big men that you think are in the entire conference, Richard?
Well, first off, there are no more real big men anymore. In a day of big, there's not too many of them anymore.
Yeah, Joe and I was talking about his 3-point shot.
Yeah, and that's the number one question. I love when I talk to the players because, I understand after having such a long professional career, the off season is so important to your player development. And the number one question I like to ask players is, what did you add to your game? What did you do in the off season? And I don't care if the players, Zakai Ziegler at 5'9", all the way up to, Olivier Rihu at Florida, who's 7'9". Everyone said, well, I shot a lot of threes. I worked on my 3-pointer. And it's like, well, I'm trying to see who's going to get down and do the dirty work up under the boards and get it done. But I would say, obviously, I have to start with Janai Broome, as I believe is the best big man in the SEC. And then I'm going to go take another stab at it. I'm going to see the progression of Colin Murray-Boyles at South Carolina. I think at 6'8", 240 pounds, you were able to see what he was able to do in Lamont Paris's offense as a facilitator from the high post, passing the ball. He had some good footwork in the low post. They said he needed to improve his shooting ability, but his offensive rebounding ability and toughness as a true freshman last year was a big reason the Gamecocks were in first place for a long part of that season. And now with a little bit more of a leadership role, I think he can be a player that can end up being a second-team All-SEC performer if he can take that next step forward. But as I mentioned, in a league, in a basketball world of no bigs, somebody's got to be the best. But I got to start with Janai Broome of the Auburn Tigers.
Well, and Richard, my final comment, and we appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to your coverage today. I know you're going to be there for the ladies as well. You call a lot of Alabama women's basketball, and I know we look forward to your coverage from the SEC Network and getting things tipped off. But I think you're a very proud Alabamian, and how cool is it? Now, they have to live up to expectations, as you said, and go out and execute. But, I mean, first of all, in the SEC ACC Challenge, they think enough of Alabama and Auburn. Auburn's going to Duke. Alabama's going to North Carolina. And these two teams were picked 1 and 2 in as deep a league as there is. John Calipari saying he thinks 11 teams could go from the SEC. It's a very proud time to be, a basketball, fanatic in the state of Alabama.
I do agree. I mean, there's only one thing I just wish that I was still young enough to partake in it. This is the dream.
Agreed.
It's a situation with now the coverage of the SEC Network and everyone else and how they spotlight this conference. You are now able to see the essence and the talent that this league has always had. I mean, because there's always been years where you have a lot of teams in it, but now you see the name recognition of the coaches has stepped up in this league, which I believe gives the league more respect. So you can see 11 teams in the NCAA tournament. That won't be a surprise. I do think it's going to be at least 9, 10. I do think that at the minimum. But it's not going to be an easy thing. But what I will leave you with is that it's been 12 years since 2012 since the SEC has won a national championship. Alabama was able to make it to the Final Four, giving the SEC a Final Four team as they had not had one in, I believe, about 5 years. So the pressure, to me, is not on these preseason expectations and not on that everyone has a chance to win the conference. It's that you have to have one of these teams that are in the 9 teams that everyone's saying in the AP Top 25 of being so good. You have to step up to the plate and see who can win the national championship. That has to be the goal for this league. It's been a drought of too long, and the last time you had it was Kentucky winning with Anthony Davis, I believe, in 2012. And you have to have one team to step up and get it done. So I understand the parity in the league. I understand talking about the strength, and this is the strongest it can be. But if you can't get it done against the top teams in the other conferences, then what all does it mean? So I think this is the year that the SEC really has to step up, and someone has to take the leadership of trying to get it done for the conference on a national level.
Well said. Well said. Richard,
great stuff, man.
Appreciate the time as always, sir.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
That's Richard Hendricks.
Yeah.
And hey, but I will
He
say
is
this.
spot on.
At least the SEC is not the Big Ten.
Well, if there is kind of one, and I know you and I are of kind of the same age range, but if there is one truth in our lifetime, Big East basketball. Big East basketball. We've had like 8 different versions of it, but it's always good.
Yeah,
it's always good basketball.
But can they hold on to UConn?
We'll find out. We'll
kudos to the Pac-12 getting the Zags. Now they need to get Randy Bennett.
Ooh.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a new wreck on Madison Boulevard at Shelton. That one's got some westbound blockage. Got one on Enterprise at Moore's Farm that's got northbound blockage with an injury. And we got one on 72 Chapman Mountain. Had it reported eastbound and westbound, so just be careful coming through that area. Drake and Ivy, that traffic signal's malfunctioning. They've called signal engineers. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. Be sure to ask about their law enforcement and elderly discounts. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Follow the Tide right here. Hi, this is Chris Stewart of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Your home of all things Bama is 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
The heat is on the street.
Not this morning. We just got through with a frost warning, but this is one of those really kind of dual weather days where you need the jacket in the morning, short sleeves in the afternoon. If you're watching on WCCN TV, of course, Drew and I are both already in the short sleeves, anticipating it being a tad warmer than we rolled in here this morning. Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton here with you as I'm filling in for Scott here this morning. But what just came out, the top 25 USA Today top 25 highest paid coaches in across the land. Number 1 is Kirby Smart with $13.2 million for Kirby Smart. And number 2 on the list is Dabo Sweeney at $11.1 million. Steve Sarkisian, Sark, making $10.6. There at Texas. Lincoln Riley is 4th on the list at $10 million. 5 is Ryan Day. He didn't even match the NIL that they spent at $10 million for Ryan Day there at the Ohio State. Mike Norvell at Florida State at $10 million. How about the return on investment there? Kalen DeBoer is making $10 million in his first season down in Tuscaloosa. Brian Kelly at $9.9 million. Mark Stoops at $9 million. And Lane Kiffin rounds out your top 10 also at $9 million. So clearly there is some value there in the top 10. And there is...
What's Wild Turkey making?
it does not list the assistant coach.
I'm sure he's making over $1 million, but whatever. And I've had people, I'd take Wild Turkey, but I sure as hell wouldn't.
By the way, Drankowitz and Heupel also make $9 million as well. Maybe the best
that's
value.
Insane, man. Because that just tells you how much it's going to cost Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about $10 to $11 million a year.
Billy's making 7.3 this year.
Don't remind Mark McLeod of that.
Hugh Freeze is making 6.7 million.
Or John Ferrari. Don't remind him.
Hugh Freeze is making 6.7 million.
Ugh.
And your boy, Drew loves this guy. Also from USA Today, because I had to go there, the latest column from Dan Woken.
At least you're starting to do it too.
No, because I'm actually going here because I think you may agree.
No, but you pronounced it Woken, not Wolken.
You're welcome. But his latest column, I think you may agree with, and that is the future of penalizing players, fining them, fining the players.
I'm glad he took a break from covering the U.S. Open tennis tournament to tell us that. Or whatever the hell horse race he'll cover.
So, these lists that we get on a yearly basis from the USA Today, I'd want, me personally, moving forward, I want this to turn into what players are getting paid the most. We know it in the National Football League. We don't know it yet on the college side. I think it's only appropriate that since we're in this new world of college athletics, that we know who are the top players getting paid out there, from gymnastics to football to basketball. Just throw it all into one big hopper. Well, Josh Pate, he is set to join us on the other side, so let's go ahead and take our time out. We'll talk some college football with the one and only Josh Pate next here on Talkin Ball.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Plenty of sunshine this afternoon, though. Definitely going to be just a touch on the chilly end of the spectrum. Temperatures climbing into the upper 50s and lower 60s. We're dropping into the mid and upper 30s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Definitely going to need a jacket as you head out the door for work on Thursday. Plenty of sunshine Thursday afternoon. Temperatures climb into the mid and upper 60s. We're getting really close to 70 degrees, but it looks like many of us are going to fall just shy. We only drop into the mid and upper 40s as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. We maintain the sunshine through Friday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 70s, dropping into the mid and upper 40s through the overnight, early Saturday morning. The sunshine continues Saturday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a new wreck in Athens, 72 and I-65. Looking at that area, I'm not seeing any slowdown. We got Jordan and Oakwood. That one's got some northbound blockage, reported with injury, but I think they've still got Himsey on the way on that one. Parkway and Shoney Drive, they updated that one to an injury type. They're sending Himsey. Got Madison Boulevard in Shelton with some westbound blockage. We had Enterprise and Moore's Farm. They had a report of an injury there. Also 72 on Chapman may be still slow because of an accident there. Traffic signal problem at Drake and Ivy. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Mike Owen at Owen Home Appliance Center. Are those new school clothes wearing out that old washer and dryer? Well, it's time to get off the bus at Owen Home Appliance Center and learn what a new Speed Queen washer can do for you. They're in stock and are ready for delivery now. At Owen Home Appliance Center, quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's right there in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center. 2 locations to serve you, Highway 36 in Somerville and the interactive location at Highway 231 in Lacey Springs, just 8 miles south of the river.
Hey, I'm on vacation every single
It is
day.
a Wednesday morning here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, along with Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton here with you. I'm filling in for Scott Tyson, but it's always fun to talk some college football with our next guest, Drew.
It really is. Now, of course, he is part of CBSSports.com, and that's full-time. It's the Josh Pate College Football Show. You can see it on YouTube Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, same bat time. Of course, that would be 7 o'clock Central Time. And he does a great job traveling the country, gets a chance to see the biggest of the big games.
It's a lot of freight. It's a lot of freight.
Freights. And that's some freight. It's freight material, no doubt. And Pate State material and his new logo is outstanding. And he got a chance to be inside Autzen Stadium for the game against Ohio State. And, I mean, I haven't seen much of the Buckeyes. I've seen highlights. Haven't been able to see them play a full game. Haven't seen Oregon. And Oregon was underwhelming early. I know a lot of people are grinding their teeth, but Dan Lanning's squad seems to have hit, their stride. And right now they're as hot as any team in the country. But that's why I love having Josh on, because he gets to see college football from coast to coast. And, Josh, welcome back to the show. How was Autzen Stadium? I would imagine it was as loud as any environment you've ever been in.
It was a level up from Troy, South Alabama. Yeah, I was watching that last night and amazed that that's the same sport that Ohio State and Oregon play. Not to knock those teams, but when you're talking about environments in college football, I really think if you took that one Saturday in Eugene,
yes,
and you took the one a few weeks ago in Tuscaloosa with Georgia in there, I do this every week, done it for several years. Those are 2 of the top 4 or 5 just raw environments in college football I think I've ever been in. The other one that immediately comes to mind is Knoxville a couple of years ago when Bama went up there, which ironically is a game we'll probably talk about in a few minutes. So it is, I mean, it's right there on the short list for best I've ever seen. And then, Drew, you've probably seen this. I've been fighting on the internet, which is where all the good fights happen these days, with people who keep talking to me about how I'm wrong about how loud Autzen Stadium is. And I keep coming back to one central question in my response, and that is, have you ever been there?
Right.
And I get a bunch of, well, no, but. No. That's it. Just answer no. That's where the period goes. Because if you haven't been, you don't know.
Exactly. And I'll just say something else. I heard that it was an all-time record, 60,000. And, obviously they've done an expansion because that place used to hold about 44. So now 60,000 people. But I've just heard the way the thing's built, the way it's set up, everything is held inside that stadium. I've never been either, but I'm not going to say anything because I've always heard it's as loud as any, no matter the size. And now that it's expanding, it's still a huge home field advantage for Oregon. And certainly it was Saturday, and Dan Lanning being a tricky Dan Lanning to steal that game.
Yeah, he did. I'll tell you this too. We were up there. Dan's really good to us. There were 2 people sort of there at practice Friday and walkthroughs and whatnot. One was me. One was a guy by the name of Nick Saban, who I'm told used to coach around there. And so we're standing there watching and team meetings happening and stuff like that. I swear to you, they sat there and went through that situation like they knew it was coming. 12 on the field late in the game. Just situationally, they are grilling that stuff into those players' heads of, we as a coaching staff are telling you, so you'll be prepared. Here's what we'll do if this happens. And it is really mind-boggling when you see the hood get lifted on the way those teams are prepared. And then the situation actually happens, and it sure did. And for that matter, the onside kick they recovered, they went over that as well, which is less shocking than the other part. But that was really fun to watch all play out.
So, Josh, it's funny you bring that up because game management is something that we talk about a lot. But we don't really dive into the guts of it too much. of what, and you were just talking about that there with Dan Lanning, but I'm more intrigued as to maybe the off field of preparing for these types of situations, because we saw what happened with the Florida Gators in Knoxville. Of just the mismanagement can cost you games in a big way,
or not going for two when you have a chance to steal a game.
There's also that.
Yeah, the thing about it is everybody believes they're preparing their team the best way they can to win. And I don't doubt that. I mean, obviously, if a coach knew a better way to prepare a team, they would do that instead of what they're doing. But at the same time, logic tells you someone's doing it the worst in the country, someone's doing it the best in the country, and everyone else falls somewhere in between. And if you were to attend these sorts of things, or if you were to sit through these meetings, a lot of times the general public wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. It all kind of sounds the same. Well, there are fractions of inches that decide these games. I mean, there are just minute details that if you were listening to someone cover it, because I sit in on them all the time, you would listen to these coaches go over this stuff, and at some point you'd tune out because you would think, wow, this is just so mundane. There's so much in the weeds here, this minutia. Why don't we talk about going for it on fourth down? Why don't we talk about the big plays and the big stuff? Well, the big stuff doesn't win games. The big stuff is what you see on SportsCenter. Yeah. The small stuff is the mortar between the bricks. That's what determines a football game. That is the difference in 8-4 versus 11-1. And no one can spot it with the naked eye. You don't tell the difference in coaches at media day or in a preview magazine. That's where it shines through.
And now, Josh, we have a listener that said he was with me. He saw I was certainly in the media availability after the game, but he did see the goalpost taken down the street and thrown into the river in Nashville after they beat Alabama. You're in Nashville, Tennessee. What a story for Vanderbilt. They handle prosperity. They beat Kentucky. Now they have a potential gargantuan matchup against Texas. We're even wondering if Pate State Freight could just walk across the street in another week.
Well, first off, you just mentioned why I love Ball State plus 26.5. That's the first thing you did. The second thing, I have had this dream for so long. I live in Nashville, as you said. I claim to go to the biggest game every week, as you said. I've always had a dream that one week, someday down the road, Vandy gives me a reason to just walk to the biggest game of the week. And wouldn't you know it, not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday, Texas comes to town. By the way, Texas would be coming off OU and Georgia back to back. And so much like Bama, they would be in a big letdown spot, and they go into Vandy. And unlike the Bama game, I think more of the eyes of the world would be on that game. But let me just let you guys in on a little something. I can't have this go national, so let's just keep this between us. There is a game on Friday night between UNLV and Boise State out in Las Vegas.
Oh.
Now, I've got to do my show in New York on Thursday. So I could, theoretically, hop a jet to, and when I say hop a jet, I do mean a commercial jet. Don't get me wrong. I could hop a jet to Las Vegas,
Herbie.
catch that game. Yeah, catch that game Friday night and be back in Nashville via the red eye plenty of time to catch Vandy and Texas Saturday. Or I could just say, forget the Friday night game and come straight back home and go to the Vandy game. Either way, the Vandy game is very much on the radar, and it excites me to no end to say that.
Well, and now we got to piggyback, though, before we go to Bama, Tennessee. What are your thoughts on Georgia, Texas? Because I still think Texas hasn't been completely challenged, especially within the conference. I think Kirby will have them ready. I know they've had some issues with Colby Young. We know what happened to Ra in the preseason. They've got guys hurt like London. But what's your thoughts on the matchup?
I think Texas is more Georgia than Georgia is right now.
Interesting.
And I think Kirby Smart kind of said the same thing in his presser the other day. They asked him, what stands out? What do you see when you see the Texas defense? We're not talking offense now.
Yeah.
What do you see when you see their defense? And he described them and the critical factors and the traits they have. And he said, they remind me of better versions of us. Now, he is not saying that by accident, and that's not off the cuff. You could very clearly tell, if you understand Kirby Smart speak, that is something internally that they have probably said a dozen times. The critical trait that this team has they're what we had in our best years. Well, Georgia doesn't have that this year. Georgia, for instance, a couple of things that I came to be able to rely on with them. Running the ball, because that travels. They're in the low 60s, being able to run the ball this year. I could also count on them limiting chunk plays through the air, and they are way down in that category as well. And so it makes there a lot more variance into the equation with Georgia outcomes. Texas, I know they haven't been tested. That's the one thing. They have not seen a top 50 quarterback, much less an offense this year. I really think they're the best team in the country, and they've got home field at their back. I do believe there will be a statement made this weekend. I just think it'll be at the hands of Texas instead of Georgia. I think Georgia loses their second game this weekend.
Very interesting.
Let's move over to Rocky Top, and I was there 2 years ago as well. Bryce Young versus Hendon Hooker may be one of the more high-level quarterback back and forths that I have ever witnessed. Now I say that to say that this is not Bryce Young versus Hendon Hooker, although there is a lot of hype between both of these quarterbacks, but both offense, really both fan bases, both programs are questioning their livelihoods. I mean, as fans. So how do you size up this matchup, Josh?
Yeah, I saw the total come out in the mid-50s and saw a bunch of people say, oh, my goodness, hammer the under, hammer the under. Yeah, I'd be careful on that. I'd be very careful on that. I'll start with Tennessee. I know you look at them. I mean, they've been shut out the first half the last 2 weeks. It's been abysmal offensively. This is not an offense that has so much a scheme problem. I think Kublik did a really good job of breaking this down this week. This is not scheme. If you just watch the games, you can tell they're not far off, which sounds crazy, but I'm right about this. I believe I'm right about this. They're not far off. And the problem here is, unlike a dead-in-the-water offense, this team has click potential. This team has the potential to, any given week, you turn on the game and all of a sudden they got 23 or 24 on the board at halftime, and you say, finally, there it is. They're the kind of team that can do that. And given what I've seen from Alabama's defense not being able to get off the field and giving up third down conversions the last few weeks, if it's going to happen, it may happen against Alabama. And so I think Tennessee finds a way to score this weekend. And I'm going to tell you, I also think Alabama does as well. So as much as that under looks like a gimme, I think the over is, if I had to play the total, the play I would make. But the other side of this is, as little confidence as I have in Alabama being able to get off the field right now, and as little confidence as I have maybe in that team having a killer instinct, the game will come down to explosive plays. By far, that'll be the most important stat in this game. And if I have to rely on one of these teams generating explosive plays, I'm going to do with the team that's done it more consistently, which is Alabama. And also, as shaky as Jalen Milroe looked decision-making wise last week, they should be able to get after this Tennessee secondary. And I don't know that it happens right out of the gate. I don't know that they hang 14 or 17 in the first quarter, but eventually the dam should break, and eventually Alabama should be able to grab this game. That's how I think it should happen.
Well, and what are your thoughts so far on Kalen DeBoer since the Georgia game? Because everybody was all hyped up. You were there. It was an electric atmosphere. Is hyped as I've seen and loud as I've heard Bryant-Denny Stadium. He gets the huge win. Then you have the letdown against Vanderbilt. But this also looks as though it's not your father's Vanderbilt this year anyway.
Yeah, there's no real quick way to summarize that. I mean, I had someone yesterday who is an Alabama fan, and they're the kind of what you would call a negatider. And so they were, they were saying, I mean, how are you going to defend this? We lost to Vandy, as if that's some catch-all statement, like all Vandys are created equal. And it does no solace to an Alabama fan for me to explain to them that this year's Vanderbilt team would be favored by 2 touchdowns over previous versions of Vandy. They don't care about that, but it's reality. So that's part one. Part two is Alabama's not a great team. Alabama's just a good team. Yeah. And the reason I mention that is intentional, because great teams do not play bad games. Great teams may just turn in a good performance, but great teams don't play bad. Good teams can play both great and bad at times. And that explains the first half against Georgia just as easily as it explains the Vandy game or the South Carolina game. When you're just a good team, the net result is you'll play good on average, but you could have some spots of great and some spots of bad. And it's like fanning out a deck of cards, and any given moment you could draw the 2 of clubs, you could draw the queen of hearts. It's all encompassing. That's Alabama football right now, which if you understand the whole like spectrum of result you could get, makes perfect sense.
All right. There's one team that I'm not completely buying. There's quite a few that I'm not buying into, but one in particular that sits atop the standings, and that's the LSU Tigers with their win at South Carolina and what they just did to Ole Miss. Are you bought into LSU? Are they for real, or am I justified by not being bought in?
No. You're justified if you're telling me you're not buying them as a bona fide SEC title contender or anything like that, because that is where I'm at on them as well.
Okay.
I think I've got them 12 or 13 in power ratings. So what they are is kind of like Tennessee. They are also the kind of team that has the springboard upward mobility, especially in an expanded playoff, to be dangerous at the end. That kind of team, it doesn't have elite potential. So LSU has no business trying to emulate Texas. But what LSU can do is be one of those teams that's hot at the right time, which matters in this format. Yeah. And I think as much as it was good for them to get that overtime win against Ole Miss last weekend, I was a little bit low-key disappointed in them because it was a spot on the scheduling dynamic chart where LSU should have won a game more authoritatively. I know they were an underdog in the game, but I don't care about that. I thought the number was wrong, and I thought that you got a team playing their 7th game in a row, back-to-back road spot, and you are rested at home and have been there for a month, and you got the better roster still. You ought to make a statement there. And instead, you had to play catch up late, and you go to overtime. And it's good that you got to win. Win is a win in that sense. But they're going to go into that spot now. Arkansas is the one at home that's rested, and you're the one that just went to overtime and got emotionally drained. And so now, if LSU is worth their salt, we'll find out. They're a short favorite on the road against Arkansas. I slightly lean Arkansas in that game. I don't think there's huge separation in those teams on a neutral field, by the way. So if I give Arkansas rest and home field advantage, you go in there and beat them, you've done something. And it will not raise the national attention. The nation would look at LSU winning that game and say, oh, of course they did. No, if they win that one, it's a pretty big deal.
And now Auburn going to Missouri. Auburn's coming off of the bye. I think this is the fork in the road for them. They could still turn their season around and go on a run, but if they can't beat Mizzou, and Mizzou's got Alabama on the road next week, then I think the Tigers could be headed for a 4th straight losing season.
I think Auburn and Arkansas feel similar to me right now. They're both at inflection points in their season. I mean, if Arkansas wins this week, they're 5-2 with one conference loss and everything to play for. If they lose, then they're 4-3 and everyone calls for Sam Pittman's job. Well, it's going to feel the same way with Auburn. I mean, Auburn, they're a 5.5-point dog here. I think they're going to go win the game outright, by the way. I love the spot for Auburn. I think they match up very well as Auburn can match up. I'll just keep going to the same thing because it will forever apply. It's an evergreen statement for Auburn this year. If you give me a clean game, or maybe, imagine this, even a plus game in the turnover margin. Like, imagine Auburn being +1 or +2. They are a plenty good enough offensive team. They are plenty good enough complementary a team to go win a game at Missouri. And honestly, they're good enough to be probably a 1-loss team right now, period, if they were clean. But they're not. All right, so that doesn't change the past. But if I come out of this bye and I just go put together a clean game, a well-executed game, I mean, I saw Missouri get undressed against A&M. So that is not a team that strikes the fear of God in my heart. That's not an environment that does that. Auburn should be able to go up there and compete. I think they've got a good shot to win the game. But if I'm wrong and they don't, then you're right. You kind of go into tailspin mode a little bit because this is where I should get your best.
Pate State Freight.
Have you been to the Cumberland River, and is there any part of the goalpost that's still down there?
When I was coming back from, where had I been? I'd been in College Station all day. So I flew back to Nashville, and I was coming back into downtown about 10 o'clock that night. They had a big crane truck over there. They were fishing the goalpost out of the river. So legend has it it's still down there. But if you want to know the honest truth, they got that thing right out of the river a few hours later.
Yeah, and we even had our good listener Brandon. He wanted to know if you had a piece in your studio.
Well, it's kind of like buying exotic meat off the black market. I cannot confirm that I have zebra in my freezer, nor can I confirm that I have a piece of the Vandy goalpost. But you both know me well enough to know I may be lying.
There you go. And it's going to be some more safe travels, man. You're going to be in Knoxville for another great matchup, Alabama,
and
Tennessee.
Potentially
Yeah.
Nashville next Saturday.
Yeah, and even Vegas. Wow. What a traveler, man. Paid State Freight all over college football, all over the country. We appreciate it. Enjoy his show. As we said, Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and, of course, you'll see him on CBS Sports. Always appreciate the conversation, Josh.
I appreciate it, guys.
It's Josh Pate. Let's go ahead and take our final time out. Tomorrow's headlines today may include the teleconference.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're going to wrap it up this morning with several accidents trying to clear. Newest one reported was 72 and I-65 in Athens. I really don't see any major snags there. We got Jordan and Oakwood reported with an injury and northbound blockage. Got Parkway and Shoney Drive. They updated that one to an injury. Madison Boulevard and Shelton had westbound blockage. Enterprise and Moore's Farm reported an injury, and they had one on Chapman, 72, reported eastbound. That one may be about ready to clear. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It's the dawning of a new age in Tuscaloosa.
I understand what Alabama football is all about. Roll time.
Join the Crimson Tide as the Kalen DuBois era begins.
Touchdown!
Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide head to Knoxville for SEC action against the Tennessee Volunteers. Our coverage begins at 11:30 on your home for Alabama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopé. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative, located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville. Their brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, their diverse menu has something to please every palate. And with a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, they invite you to savor the unique flavor of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative.
Hey Huntsville, looking for action-packed events? The Huntsville Sports Commission is your hub for all things sports. From youth events to national tournaments, we've got events that thrill and inspire. Whether you're an athlete, a fan, or a volunteer, there's something for everyone. Cheer on your favorite teams, witness amazing talent, and be a part of the excitement. Check out our event calendar and get involved at huntsvillesports.com. That's huntsvillesports.com. Be there, Huntsville.
It's
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Here is the quote that Josh Pate was speaking of about Kirby Smart on Texas's defense.
Size, speed, two best front guys. I mean, every defense starts with train wreckers, big guys, physical guys at the point of attack that are hard to move. They got them. All right, they've got guys on the edge that are elite rushers. They got an elite player out of the portal. They went and got DB from Clemson who's playing really good. I mean, like, they patched up some holes they had, and they're the complete package on defense. They're really consistent. Like, there's not like they don't give up explosives. They're really good in the red area. They hard to run the ball on. I mean, the consistency you watch them play with, it reminds me of, some of our better teams here, our best teams here. I'm like, man, they're good on D, they're good on O, they're good on special teams, and they're playing at a high level.
That is Kirby Smart on Texas's defense.
Yeah.
And it does remind me of some past Georgia.
Well, if they beat Georgia and solidly whip them, then they are by far and away right now the best team in the league. We're going to find out Saturday.
Your tomorrow's headlines today is really about basketball media day. A lot of the media that go on the teleconference are in Birmingham today. So I could get a lot in today for the teleconference. And I do have a lot locked and loaded. But is there something that you would like to hear from any coach today? What would the one question you would ask any coach today?
Well, I would ask Steve Sarkisian. I know he's preparing for Georgia, but what did he see in Jalen Milroe when he recruited him? Don't forget, he flipped him from Texas to Alabama.
Yeah.
Because Milroe has become one of the stories in the SEC. He's become a really good player.
I asked him a couple of weeks ago about Milroe.
And Bryce Young was, of course, the guy that had come in the class before. Mm-hmm. They had a guy named Drake May who didn't want to, wait behind Bryce. They had to go find a developmental quarterback, which has been, what they've done with Milroe. So I just think Sark is a quarterback whisperer. He does a great job. He's done a good job with Quinn Ewers, who the Ohio State coaching staff didn't think was very good, honestly, once they got him. And we all know that Mannings are bust proof.
That is going to wrap us up. Don't worry, Scott Tyson will be here tomorrow morning, and we'll all be grateful, right?
And he'll have some Uncle Keith's red sauce, maybe.
Boy, possibly.
I'm going to tell you.
I'll be at Baumhauer's later on today with the shovel known as West Neighbors.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof, not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you